Okay, so this is going to be like a part 2 to my procedural level generator update series. I guess it's a series. Now it's a series. So yeah, I'll just give a quick update on things that I have been doing here. So if I press play, some of the things that I have updated is I've somewhat fixed these out of bounds buttresses issues, so they're no longer like penetrating inside the wall. It was simple, like I just wasn't offsetting it by half the tile size, so that was that. And then remember this ladder issue thing I mentioned, where this would just be like stairs and they don't make sense. So I've also fixed this basically. I don't have like a proper asset or anything, so it's just this ladder thing right here for now. I might get a friend of mine to create something that looks better and is easier to see, because that's actually kind of hard to see when you're walking around. And then one of the other things I did was I added the inside scenery. So there's like, you'll notice like it doesn't make any sense, but when you're actually playing and walking around on these upper tiles here, you're not really looking in the background. So it's not a focal point. So you won't necessarily notice that a lot of it doesn't make any sense. And I think all the windy paths and everything kind of just add to it to make it seem more like a maze, that you're inside like some big labyrinth structure of some sort. And then there's a lot of like instances of repeating objects, but that's like solely because I haven't included more 3x1s. Like in this case, that thing's a 3x1. If I just created more 3x1 pre-made objects, I would add them into the array, then it would randomly pick which one. But right now I only have the one, so you see it everywhere. There's a 3x1. So I really like the way it actually worked out here. The process of doing that was kind of fun. So if I draw the quad tree, you'll see that I actually subdivided the interior into these red cubes here. So I just give it like maximum size that I would want, and it kind of just like figures out when you're on an empty inside space, what is the largest, cube that you could fit in there with parameters. So like I think I have 3x3 is the largest. So you can see it discovered that right here it could do a 3x2 and 3x1s, and so on and so forth. So I just subdivided the inside of it and then came up with a bunch of cubes, and I was able to place pre-made stuff in it. So that's actually what I'm going to do for encounters too. So you can see in this room I have another one here that I've already set up, and this will be an encounter of some sort. So I'll recognize that there's a 2x1 here, and I'll make pre-made encounters to spawn enemies and everything. And depending on the size of the room, you'll get like bigger spaces. So like for instance, these things I would like, I want to try and find a way to combine them all together so that it's just one big cube instead of multiple small ones. And I could put like a boss in here or something, and like, oh, recognize that this is what, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x3 space. So put a large encounter in there. And then, the same for all of these ones. I didn't do it on the outside because I want the systems to still work the way they are with the paths and the walls and stuff. And if I do pre-made encounters, then each encounter will have to have all of the logic included in it in order to know whether or not it needs to be like a see-through wall or inside wall or outside wall or a door or whatever. So I'm just going to restrict the encounters to be the tiles on the interior of the spaces, and it'll actually be okay. Like this one is a small room, so I can still like recognize and put enemies in this area, but it is a small enough room that I don't need to have like a pre-made encounter for it. I can just like how big is this room, put like 2 enemies in there, or maybe this I'll put traps or something. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how this subdivide and logic worked out. And then the next thing that I did here, I'll just switch the seed. What was that? 25166, I think. It probably wasn't that one. Oh, it was. Excellent. So if I process Greystone here, the other thing that I added, which I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, but it still needs work, is I actually made the wall in between you and your character here disappear. This is just like a mask in the material, using like the depth values. I actually like really like how it is working right now, except like obviously I would want it to be a little cleaner. So like that door kind of looks a little messy, so I could try and just tune the parameters. It's a sphere mask, so I could like make the sphere bigger or something, and I want the edges to not be so hard. But otherwise, I think that actually works out pretty well. And then in some cases, like you can see this railing on the stairs is getting occluded when it shouldn't be. So I might just add a second material instance so that like the railing material, it just doesn't happen on the rails, because I don't think there'll ever be an instance where the railings are getting in the way. So that's like an easily solvable thing. And real quick, I just want to run out here so you can get an idea of what the inside scenery looks like from like a gameplay perspective. You can see you're not really looking, so as background, I think it works really well. So yeah, all this background. I mean, ignore the red lines and everything. I think it works really well. Okay. Thank you for listening.